The invitation arrived on cream cardstock, my daughter Claire's elegant script announcing a baby shower in Napa Valley. The first time she'd reached out in 3 years. I held it against the kitchen light, studying the watermark, the careful calligraphy, searching for some sign of reconciliation hidden in the paper's grain. That morning, I spent 40 minutes at the boutique downtown, running my fingers across impossibly soft fabrics before settling on a cashmere baby blanket in the palest blue. The price made me wince, nearly a week's grocery budget. But I wanted something that would last, something that would whisper of grandmother's love every time Claire wrapped her child in it. I had my hair trimmed for the first time in months, choosing a silver dress that forgave the weight I'd gained during too many lonely nights with Ben and Jerry's and late-night talk shows. In the mirror, I looked almost like the woman I used to be. Almost. The vineyard transformed into something from a fairy tale as the sun set behind rolling hills. String lights traced lazy patterns across the converted barn's rafters, their reflections dancing in champagne glasses carried on silver trays. Claire moved through the crowd like a queen in flowing white, her hands protective over the swell of her belly, accepting congratulations and air kisses from friends whose names I'd never learned. When our eyes met, I felt that familiar flutter of hope, the same feeling I'd carried through 30 years of single motherhood, through every missed birthday call and every holiday spent alone. She approached with a brief hug that felt more obligatory than emotional, thanked me for coming, then melted back into her circle of admirers before I could find words to fill the space between us. I found a chair at the back, placed my carefully wrapped gift among the towers of presents, and sipped water while watching her laugh at jokes I couldn't hear. Then came the speeches. Claire's husband spoke warmly about their future, their dreams, their gratitude. When Claire took the microphone, her voice carried clearly across the barn, steady and sure. She thanked everyone for being there, for supporting them as they started their family. Then her gaze found Elaine, her husband's mother, elegant in her silk blouse and perfect posture. "I want to thank someone special tonight," Claire said, her eyes bright with genuine warmth. "Elaine has been a guiding light these past few years. She's shown me what true motherhood looks like. What I wish I'd had growing up." The barn fell quiet except for the soft clink of glasses being set down. I couldn't be more grateful that my child will have Elaine as their one and only true grandmother. Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. Elaine rose gracefully to embrace my daughter while I sat motionless, my hands folded in my lap like wilted flowers. The lights above me blurred. The chatter became a low hum, as if I were hearing it from underwater. I didn't applaud, I didn't cry. I simply stood, walked to the gift table, and left the cashmere blanket among the other packages. Another offering from another ghost. Outside, the night air carried the scent of ripening grapes and rich earth. My heels clicked softly against gravel as I walked between the vine rows, their shadows stretching long in the dim light. I kept walking until the laughter faded completely, until there was nothing but the quiet rhythm of my own steps and the whisper of wind through leaves. In that silence, I understood tonight hadn't been an invitation. It had been a funeral. The burial of whatever I'd thought still existed between us. I drove home through winding roads, past houses glowing with warm light and families I'd never meet. My kitchen felt colder than usual when I finally arrived, the hum of the refrigerator the only greeting. A mug of morning tea sat by the sink, its surface dulled and forgotten, like so many things in my life lately. I lowered myself into the same chair where I'd opened her invitation weeks ago, letting my hands rest on the familiar wood, and stared at nothing while memories arrived like unwelcome visitors. Claire on my doorstep after her first divorce, suitcase in hand, nowhere else to go. Me babysitting her children every weekend so she could find herself in relationships that worried me. My signature on loan documents for her boutique, believing in her dream when the bank wouldn't. The months after it failed, sending check after check to keep her from losing her apartment, watching my retirement savings disappear like morning mist. All of it given freely, with the faith that someday she might understand. That night I went to bed in my silver dress, too tired to change. Sleep came quickly, mercifully dreamless. When I woke, light was just beginning to filter through the blinds. I sat on the edge of my bed, listening to the quiet house, and realized something fundamental had shifted. No one would be calling to check on me. No one would ask how the baby shower went. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was complete. I reached for the phone on my nightstand. My lawyer's voice carried no surprise when I called about updating my will, only polite efficiency as he scheduled me for the next afternoon. The second call went to Frank, an old friend who'd become a private investigator. His voice was the same calm baritone I remembered from decades ago. "I need help collecting some information," I told him. "Whatever you need, Harriet," he said without hesitation. The third call was to a storage facility across town, climate-controlled unit 20, 4-hour access. The clerk recited the gate code in a flat tone, as if people rented spaces to store their heartbreak every day. By mid-morning, I'd pulled 3 cardboard boxes from the garage and set them in my living room like an altar to my own naivety. From the hall closet came folders of receipts, copies of bills I'd paid for Claire, bank statements showing transfers into her accounts. From the shelves came photo albums, baby books, handmade cards with her childish scrawl declaring me best mom ever. Everything went into the boxes, arranged with archival precision so nothing would bend or tear. The work felt clinical, like cataloging artifacts for a museum exhibit titled, "The Price of Unconditional Love." I didn't allow sentiment to interfere. These weren't mementos anymore. They were evidence, and evidence told its own story without needing to raise its voice. The first package went out on a Tuesday, timed to arrive at Claire's door before she'd finished her morning coffee. Inside, nestled in plain brown paper, was a leather-bound book embossed with her full name in gold foil. The pages contained 12 years of my financial records, each section neatly labeled by date and purpose. Every check I'd written to cover her rent, every payment toward her utilities, every cash transfer into her account when her world was falling apart and I was the only one holding the pieces together. At the back, on cream paper that matched her wedding invitation, I'd written the total in my own careful script. 40 tilzu through a suit. The ink sat dark against the page like a period at the end of a very long sentence. My phone rang that afternoon. I recognized the number but let it ring twice before answering, savoring the last moment of peace. Her voice was sharp with the particular tone that comes when someone is both embarrassed and furious. "What exactly are you trying to prove?" "Nothing," I said, my voice steady as stone. "It's simply an organized record for you to keep. Something you might want to pass along to your child someday." "You're trying to shame me. Dredging up things that don't matter anymore." "Don't they?" I asked softly. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. The cashmere blanket was beautiful. "By the way," I continued, "I hope the baby enjoys it as much as I enjoyed giving it. Though I suppose Elaine will be handling most of the giving from now on." The line went quiet except for the sound of her breathing. "There are more packages coming," I said gently. "Documentation, photographs, letters you wrote asking for help. I thought you might want to have the complete story. For when your child asks about their grandmother, their F1 and only true grandmother." I hung up before she could respond. That evening, I sat in my quiet kitchen with a cup of tea, properly brewed this time, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. Not the kind that comes from resolution, but the kind that comes from finally telling the truth. The remaining boxes sat in my living room like promises waiting to be kept. Frank would help me compile the rest. Bank records, email chains, the photographs of me at every school play, every graduation, every moment that mattered when she was growing up and her father was nowhere to be found. At 68, I'd learned something valuable: love doesn't require an audience to be real. But betrayal. Betrayal deserves witnesses. My daughter had wanted to rewrite history, to cast herself as the victim and Elaine as the hero. But history, as it turns out, keeps receipts, and I had kept them all. The next package would go out tomorrow. Then the next. Each one a gentle reminder that memory may fade, but documentation is forever. After all, what is motherhood if not creating a record of love that outlasts our own voices? Claire would have her story. I was simply making sure she had all the chapters.